Hi there. So here we go. We're going to do some tall, skinny snowmen. I'm calling this the second day of the. Let me. How I forget to turn that volume down. Okay, so might as well just do these as like quarantine videos. You know, we'll just try to do quarantine videos all the time. So let me get everything out of the way here and not get my head in there. So these were the ones that I had, if I can reach them here. These are the ones I had pictured. And, I know that sun is going to be, maybe we ought to do videos at 5 o'clock when the sun's on the other side. That sun makes everything dappled looking. So these were the ones that I had. The colors we're going to use are going to be a little bit different because I did not have anything base coated in these colors today. And I had so much sitting around here that I hated to base coat. When I base coat, I base coat a bunch of stuff. And I hated to have more sitting around in these colors until I got some of this stuff done that I have already started. So I have a bunch of snowmen started today, and most of them are in more primitive reds and greens, but you know, I'm going to say that I probably don't remember for sure what colors I used on those, but I can try to figure that out anyway if you need it. So, but we're going to do basically the same thing as what those are, but we're going to just do them in different colors. So, hi Paula. So I'm going to start with the filling in the base color and for the snowman. If I can keep these like this. So this one's already done and it's filled in. We're going to start with, I used khaki tan, I think, yes. Khaki tan is what I used for the base. And I'm using, again, that number 10 filbert brush. This has become my go-to brush. Same one I used yesterday for the candy canes. Okay, so I'm filling that in with the khaki tan. Hi, Caroline. See, maybe 1 o'clock works. Some of you at least come on here. So I have a big one too that I'm working on down here. So, maybe in between well, honestly, I have about 12 of these I'm working on. I have little sleds, I have little plaques, I have a bunch of stuff. So we'll keep working. You're just watching the candy cane one. I actually managed to finish those up except for, like, I don't have the sides of the sleds base coated and I don't have the a couple of the boards. I like to paint the edges a different color, so I've been kind of working on that in between things today. I get like not bored, I guess, but I just get way late and have to work on something else for a little bit. So I'm not going to worry too much about this going over the edge because I'm probably going to paint this little beveled edge a different color. So we're going to just paint that. I don't want to get a ton out over, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. So yeah, so I would just base coat that in. This one was already done. These two actually were already done, so I could show you the shading on this. I just got my hand in that. Okay, I'm going to set this one on the floor. And I'm going to move this one over. So this is a bigger board, and I have a chair here, a folding chair. I found 3 folding chairs in my basement, and I thought I'm just going to stick snowman on them and something on the back real quick. I'm not even going to, I like folding chairs to do, but I hate painting all the legs. So I just painted the seat and painted the seat back, and I'll post a picture of those when I get them done. But I tried to do something quick. So, you know, like when you paint those legs, oh, that gets annoying. So I'm going to go to a bigger brush and show you the shading and the highlighting on this brush. Had teal in it because I also have an ironing board that I'm working on. That's sitting behind me. And I painted a hat on it teal. Okay, so how I would do this is to shade it is because I base coated that first in the khaki tan, I'm going back with the khaki tan and I'm going to just lay it in on the left side and a little bit on the top of the head, kind of starting to round this out. Again, I'm not worried too much if I get out over the edge on this. So you see how I'm kind of rounding that in. Then I'm picking up buttermilk. Let me make sure. Yeah, buttermilk. I get that mixed up with the one Dixie Belle is buttercream, I think. Okay, so I'm going to, so I'm wet into wet blending. You know, that khaki tan was still wet, so I'm blending that in and adding some, then I'll add some more of the buttercream or buttermilk. See, butter. Wait, I still gotta look. Buttermilk, yes, butter. Yeah, see, I get them mixed up. Still trying to kind of keep a circle there, and then I'm going to pick up just white and fill in the rest of that. So if the head was a little smaller, I probably wouldn't pick up the white. I would finish it with the buttercream, buttermilk, and then I would the butter color. We're just going to call it the butter color. And then I would just lay the white dry brush it on top of it. But since this is a big one, I actually blended it. Okay. Sometimes I take what's left in the brush and clean it out. And just get a little bit on the other side. Okay, so this snowman doesn't have a lot of contrast to him. Some of the ones I do, I get a lot of contrast in. This one doesn't have a whole lot. These are a little more primitive looking. And let's see, let's go back to this one because it's dry. Or almost dry. I need a little more laid out on my palette. Okay, so this palette was what I was using for some other snowmen that I'm doing. I'll show you those in a minute. So same thing, I would pick up the khaki tan and I'm going to lightly lay that in on the left side underneath where the scarf would be shadowing it, down the left side. And while that is wet, I'm picking up the buttermilk and blending it in. As I go, and like I said on this one, I would not bother with the I'll put the white in later. So I'm going to finish this out. Buttermilk is drying up. So we're still on quarantine, as close as my husband can figure. His first symptoms were, I think, last Wednesday or Thursday. So he'll be about done this weekend. And technically, I'm still supposed to quarantine for a little while longer. And, you know, I'm not minding it so far. And really, with this surgery, I've been pretty much, you know, at home since July. I mean, I haven't really, I've gone, you know, like I haven't gone a ton of places myself. I did go a few places myself. You know, once I was walking on one crutch and then I think I went somewhere the other day with, no crutches. But other than that, like going into any stores or anything has been tough because I was walking on crutches. So for this one, I'll go back to that. That just froze. I wonder if that's freezing on your end. It froze on my iPad. So I'm going back to the filbert brush, picking up some white, and I'm going to just dry brush a little bit of white in there. And actually it's kind of blending, because it's wet on wet. So I'm going to put a little bit of white in to lighten that up. And that's pretty much Snowman. He is, let's see, we need to decide on a color for the scarf. If you have a suggestion, jump in there. And let's see, I have blue out, I have teal out. Maybe we should go with like a more of a darker green, like a more of an emeraldy green for that scarf. I have jade here. Let's see what I have. What color is this? Midnight blue. Well, I'm going to, anybody have an idea? Well, I'm going with green. No, I don't want to go with green because I'm going to do the tree with green. I'll go ahead and put that out now. Maybe we'll make it a gold color. I'm going to do a yellow scarf for a while. So we'll start with milk chocolate. Somewhere I have raw sienna. Let me see. Well, there's a gold. Let's put that out. That is antique gold. And, I had in this probably. Okay, raw sienna. Okay. And we will need maybe a little bit of yellow. Just a little yellow to highlight that a little bit. Find my yellow. I'm going to go with cadmium yellow. Okay. Those are our colors for our yellow scarf. Maybe I'll do some yellow for a hat at some point too. But all these other ones here that I'm working on, see that I'm doing the different hats on. This one I have started with a teal, and this one here I have done, it just needs a face. So before we go on for this little flat one here and the one on the bottom, I'm going to use my Naphtha Crimson and a big wide flat brush and side load it. And we'll put in kind of a floated cheek. Flip it over. Same thing on the other side. Okay. So this one down here is really big. So this brush isn't quite big enough, but we're going to, I know I'm out of the frame. We're going to lay that in and kind of pull that out to get a cheek in on this big one. Same thing, we'll go on the other side. You know, and it's kind of important that you have them look somewhat even, which they don't. we're going to strengthen that one a little bit. Just bring it out a little bit more. So we've got those cheeks in. That kind of made a little bit of a line there, so we're going to blend that out. Sometimes you got to tap it with your finger a little bit. Okay, set that aside. For this one, we will get a tiny, tiny little scruffy brush. I have one here that I just used for cheeks, if I can find it. It's a little wee brush. I'm not sure what I ever used that for. When we do the cheeks, we don't want the paint water. When we do dry brush cheeks, we don't want the paint watered down at all. So we're going to put in some little cheeks on this guy. You can use a Q-tip too. A Q-tip works. I just like this little brush. Okay. So, scarf and the band on the hat. I have a little flat brush I was using earlier. I'm going to use that. The band on the hat, we're going to fill in with the raw sienna. So that would be right here. And we'll fill in the scarf with raw sienna. That is probably going to need a second coat. It's actually not bad on the red, but when you get it into, you know, I went out of the lines on the snowman, so you can see the white through it. Okay, and this little piece of back scarf. I kind of think I'm going to like the yellow. Okay, set that aside, and we're going to fill in this entire hat, which this brush is too small for this, but it already has the color on it, so we're going to go with it. Ooh, I know some of you don't care, but this almost could be a Steeler hat on this one. We could make it a black and gold striped hat. Or, you know, fill in with whatever team you like. I'm not even a huge football fan. Okay, so we filled that in. So while we're waiting for that to tack up a little bit, I'll put the noses in. And I have it's a Josanya gold oxide, it's called. But you could use, like, there's a lot of oranges. Like, there's a spice pumpkin in Deco Art. I don't have it right now, I don't think. So I'm just using this gold oxide. It makes a good orange color. So we're going to fill in that nose. We're going to fill in this nose. That was a little bigger, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of that burnt sienna. And no, that didn't show up much. Oh, okay. And we're going to put a big nose on this one here. Now this one we are going to need something to shade it, because it's too big to just have, oh, I just splattered that orange paint all over his face. Okay, that, you know, because I had watered down paint there, that's going to need another coat of something. I'm going to get another color here. You can tell I didn't really plan well for this because I'm just grabbing stuff. Heritage brick, because we can't have anything without heritage brick. We have to have that on every palette somewhere. We're going to shade that nose with heritage brick. And we're going to wait for a minute on that other nose because it's pretty wet. Same with this one. We'll put a little shade on it. And I'm going to wipe my brush and pick up, it is a Liquitex Cad Orange. And lay a little highlight in there. Well, somewhere along the line I lost the whole middle ground there. Okay, we'll even take this one and highlight it this way so that it looks like kind of the rings on the carrot. Okay, we'll go back to the yellow scarf now. And we're going to fill it in again with it and the band in again with the raw sienna. Just to make that cover a little better. And the back of it. And then we'll fill in the hat again with the same color. So I had plans to make red birds on top of the snowman heads, but I don't know how that's going to look on the red. Maybe if I go with a really bright red, it'll work. Maybe I'll make bluebirds on some of them. Okay, so we have that filled in again. And while we're waiting for that to dry a little bit, I think I'll put the tree in. I'm going to go back to this number 4 round brush. Cord on those headphones gets annoying. And I'm picking up black and a little bit of, I'll use that burnt sienna just to give me a dark brown. And we will make a stem for the tree, or trunk, I guess. And let me wipe off this edge and we'll go ahead and do the vine. For those of you that maybe missed the pine branches, we'll put the pine vine around the edge of this. So it has sanding dust all over it and that makes it hard to paint it. Okay. So still using the I'm using the raw sienna and the brown, and I'm going to just wiggle my brush heavier and lighter, and make branches. You want it to have more pressure and then less pressure. You'll find to make this more random, it works better if you grip. Don't paint it like this. Don't paint it down close. Get back on the brush a little bit. And your branches tend to be a little more random. You don't want to control them too much. Okay, and just bring some branches up around. Sometimes this feels like Bob Ross painting. I watched a whole documentary on Bob Ross the other day. I've watched a lot of TV in the past 2 months, but I watched a documentary on Bob Ross, and it was very interesting but sort of sad. It's on Netflix if any of you have Netflix. It was interesting, but he was kind of used by his manager, which was sort of sad. So I wiped my brush out, and now I just picked up just raw sienna. Oh, look, that sun went behind a cloud. That's a much better picture. I'm going to highlight the side of that tree trunk, and I'm going to go along and highlight some of these branches. So the funny story at my house is when I had my surgery, right beforehand, our TV is old. I mean, not old, but it was like when the first flat screen TVs first came out, and so I don't know when that was. We were trying to figure it must be like 17 or 18 years old. And there's a blue line down through it that, of course we looked up, and it meant, it's going bad, and TVs are not expensive now. So because I was going to be laid up, and I really truly don't watch much TV. But my husband said, "Oh, I'll make sure that I have a new TV in place before your surgery, so that," I'm just filling this in with black, "so that, you don't have to watch that TV with that blue line through it," which, like, I don't care. I grew up with the black and white TV, and half the time we didn't even have a TV. We had whatever hand-me-downs TVs that people had that they would give us. My dad used to, when he was laid off from the mill, he would, him and my uncle would put in TV antennas for people. And, people would have like leftover TVs, and we'd have them, and they'd work for a while. Anyway, I digress. So he swore he was going to have a new TV put in for me before I was going to be laid up and watching that TV that's bad, which he never did. And I didn't care. He was busy, and it really didn't matter to me. So he gets COVID, and like 2 days of watching that TV, and I went home yesterday, and he's got a tape measure out measuring, and he's on the internet trying to order a new TV. So like 2 months of watching that TV, and I didn't care. 2 days of COVID, and he's like, "I can't stand this TV anymore." So, well, isn't that interesting? So we're going to, I can't get enough pigment there to do this. We're going to put the tree in, and our pine around our branches. So this is actually an angle brush, which I don't use very often, but I picked it up and it works. So I've double loaded that angle brush with black and forest green. And I'm going to have to set this up this way. And then we're going to go this way and a little wider. Get my hand out of the way. A little wider. And so on. If you think you would have trouble doing that, you could always chalk them on and then erase the chalk later. And a little point there. Okay, then we will go around and put the pine like at the end of, so this is like scrubby pine. So you're just going to put it on the ends of some of these branches. Turn this around to have a better angle on it. So where I ran that over, I'll just sand that and make it look distressed. Okay. Just here and there, the whole way around. Then I will pick up white on that brush and go in and accent a little bit with some white for like a snow look. Just to soften it up a little bit. I'm going to put it on both sides. Okay, and then around the edge. A couple little dabs on each one. And I don't know, I just find it easier to turn it around. So what all are all of you making? Is anybody making anything for Christmas? For Christmas gifts? Has anybody even thought about it? I know it's early, but it's, you know, it's really not that far away. Like the shop, the one shop that I'm in, my old shop, as soon as Fall Fest is over, everybody starts catching you live. Oh, thanks, Tracy. I'm glad. That's what I want, is everybody to learn something. So, like our shop switches over after you do Fall Fest, which is the first weekend in October. You really don't sell a whole lot more fall stuff. So we start switching over to Christmas then. Okay, so oh, there's a fly. I'm going to do this hat with stripes. That I want to show you how to do the stripes. So I'm going to make this like the band, and then we'll make lots of stripes on this one. So I think I will do this one black and gold, and I'm going back to that just to have a demo and sale today. Laryngitis and a sore throat. Tracy, I have a sore throat too. I am, you know, like I've been waiting for the COVID thing to hit, and I I woke up with a sore throat. Now my daughter had laryngitis and a sore throat a few weeks ago, and it wasn't COVID, but I've got a sore throat now, and I keep thinking, oh, is this it? I've been, like I know it's going to start at some point. So what kind of demo are you having? Oh, are you having a painting demo? Okay, so I'm going to start with the raw sienna, and I'm going to lay this in on the left hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it in on the left side of every stripe that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to lay it on a little bit on the right hand side. Okay, so that's still wet, and I am wiping out my brush but not rinsing it, and I'm going to pick up the gold, the antique gold, and blend that in. And you can do one stripe at a time if you don't work as fast, or try it. Demo is going to be a succulent fall arrangement in a pumpkin. Ooh, that sounds cool. Was it going to be online, Tracy? Or in person? Okay, and then we're going to go over and put a little bit on the other side with your medium, and it's going to start to close in down here. So since I kind of lost the edge of that, I'm going to pick up a little more of the raw sienna and put that in on the edge because I lost that. Okay, so then I'm going to go back and pick up the antique gold and the yellow, the cad yellow. Oh, Marketplace by Crafters. You should, Tracy, post that link so we can get to it if you're doing it. And we're putting the yellow on there. Okay, so I'm not totally crazy about how that turned out. Probably because I was reading and not paying attention to what I was doing. So it's easy. I'm just going to go back over it. Can't talk, it's all squeeze. Oh, that's not good. So while I'm waiting, waiting for that to set up, I'm going to do the scarf and the hat band here. So for this hat band, I'm actually going to pick up the heritage brick and do the left hand side of this hat band, and I'm going to lay it in behind, like where this scarf is like tied up over. So I'm going to just kind of shade in there, and then I'm going to add the raw sienna and fill it in completely because I didn't like the way that others blended, so we'll try something different here. Well, Tracy, post your business page. And remind us when something. This group is not about, I don't care if you post things that you're going to be doing. I think it's all about, helping one another out. So don't ever feel, if you're going to do a live somewhere, post it so we all can see. I'm all about sharing what you're doing on here. I know some groups it's like, oh, you can't do self-promotion. I'm not into that. Do as much self-promotion as you want to. Okay, so I'm adding some of the Golden Harvest to highlight that. Just dry brush it. And that's that's not bad, but I'm going to add just a little bit of the yellow, the cadmium yellow. Just here and there to make it brighter. I kind of like that yellow scarf. Okay, we're going to set him aside and we're going to go back to this because I don't like the way this looks. So I'm going to start over, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to put the heritage brick out on this side. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the raw sienna and the burnt sienna. And then I'm going to go to the antique gold and blend that in. And I'm going to come on across with that antique gold a little more. Now that fly. And then I'm going to go back to the raw sienna. I'm going to pick up the raw sienna and go back into the raw sienna then. I think that's better. Sometimes you just have to experiment. Okay, so I'm a lot happier with that blending. And then I'm going to pick up the yellow and do a little highlight. And I think I'll even pick up a little bit of the buttermilk. And just do a little bit more of a highlight in there. So now we're going to add the black. I think that's a lot better than what it was. So to get the black, the shading started on the black, I have a gray up here that I was using earlier for some letters. I'm going to pick that up and mix it with some of the black and start blending that in. And then pick up a little more of the gray. The white's too much yet. And blend in that gray, lighter gray. So you don't want to go the whole way to white yet. Trying to keep that idea of that highlight going down here. So now we'll do the rest of them. So last year and the year before I did gnomes and I did striped hats on them, and this is how I did their striped hats too. I mean, it's a little tedious. You could just do the hat and just do the stripe, you know, do like all one color and then just do the stripes on it. And for the most part I would, unless the hat's really a focal point of what you're doing. And then I think this works, I don't know, I just think this works better. Okay. And we're going to go on over. We're going to go a little bit lighter gray. And then we're going to start back to the darker gray. And back to the black. Okay, and I kind of got off a little bit on where my highlights are on that. So I'm going to pick up that light gray and just dry brush it so it follows the highlight down. And lighter. Okay, seemed a little bit tedious, but I don't know. They're kind of fun to do. So you could even go back and do like one more braid highlight on that and call that done. Okay, we're going to put some eyes in, and then we're going to finish up the other one. I'm going back to that number 4 round brush and picking up just black. There's a little bit of water in that, so it's softened down a little bit. I'm going to put some teardrop eyes in it. A little bit of an eyebrow and a mouth. So the mouth basically has to figure it would go off the bottom here. And we're going to put some little dots in the eyes and some little dots in the mouth. And so I don't think that stands out quite enough. This is something that you could do. And again, it's just futzing and playing around just to give you another little idea of how to make things look maybe a little more finished. I am going to put out some of this burgundy. And I'm going to use this wide flat brush that I used for the cheeks. And it keeps this cord. I keep putting my hand around this cord. I'm going to pick up the burgundy and a little bit of black. Whew, that was a lot. I have to go back and finish that other one yet too, but I'll show you this. So I don't think he stands out as much as he should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to side load around the edge of this. And this would have been really nice if I would have done it before I painted it, but I didn't. And I'm probably going to paint this around here. So again, I went over the edge there. It doesn't matter. Okay. And okay, I'm going to call that one done, other than I have to paint the edge here. But that's finished. Now I have at least 10 more of these to do. And I have actually been doing one hole at the top of these, and I bought the beads, you know, the beads that everybody has, like that they're doing the bead garlands with. So I've been putting jute through and putting like 3 of those beads and tying it, and I think it looks really cute. I'll try to take a picture of that so you can see it. But it's just a nice finish. I ordered the beads on Amazon, and I had found red ones at a yard sale that were just like a beaded garland for on a Christmas tree, and I've just been cutting those and using on some, and then some I've just been putting the little natural beads on. But it just adds a little bit more to it. So I'm going to set that one aside, and we'll finish this one here. So that hat needs some attention, and I'm going to use this somewhere here. I have a filbert brush. I have so many brushes dirty. Sometimes partway through the day I have to go back and thanks, Beverly. I think it does add a little depth to it. So I'm picking up the buttermilk and black, and I'm going to highlight the hat just a little bit, and then I'm going to pick up a little more buttermilk and put another highlight in there. Oh, that got carried away there, didn't it? Okay, so I also want to do a stripe on the hat. So I have that burgundy out, and I'm going to just thin down paint on a long liner brush. Works really good. You want to remember to curve it a little bit as the scarf would go. And then same here, you could curve it. And the sideways one's there. Do you see, if you have a long liner brush, you can go a long way without reloading your brush. You could also, put some fringe on there if you want to. Like so. I'm going to use this liner brush here for because that round brush is too big for this snowman. And add some little eyes. A mouth. And let's see, we need arms. So I'm going back to that round brush for the arms. And I'm going to use black and raw sienna. I think I'm going to be ready for a new palette after this. Sometimes partway through the day I have to start on a new one too. So we're going to make his arms holding that. And this arm coming down here and coming across. We're going to make it go underneath and holding on there. And we're going to highlight that arm a little bit. Okay, so he needs dip dots. Let me show you again on this. He needs highlight on the eyes too. See, he needs, this needs dip dots in it, which you need fresh paint and just a stylus or the other end of your brush. So I'll have to do that. It needs highlights on the eyes. These eyes obviously are a lot bigger. They all are different. So, but I think you can see the dots on that, what you want to do for that. So, let's see. I think that should cover everything. Again, I will post this whenever I have it done. I'll post pictures of all the ones I did. If I get them done. There's a lot. I started a whole bunch of them today. So anyway, that gives you an idea. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask any questions about anything. I'm always glad to help. If any of you are doing any lives, any online classes, anything, please post them. If we create your ideas to sell, oh, absolutely. You know what? The only thing that I would ask if you would do is if you do post it online, just link back. I'm trying to build my Toll and Treasures page, and I'd like to build up this painting group. So, if you post something online, if you just, link it, you don't have to link it, just mention Toll and Treasures and, tell people to hop over and give the page a like. I am perfectly happy with people making them to sell. I will help you out however I can. But I am trying to build my Toll and Treasures page. My Timeworks page, I worked on it for years and built it up, and I concentrated on it for a lot of years and didn't do much at all with the Toll and Treasures page. And I'm trying to get it built back up because when I sold the shop, I lost that platform of the Timeworks page. So I'm trying to get the Toll and Treasures page built back up. Oh yeah, I'd love to see what you do. Please send me pictures of what you do, and just if you link me back, that's great. But yeah, use them for whatever you can. I'll be glad to help you out however I can. I'm not one that says, oh, you can't sell this, you can't do this. I get my ideas from somewhere too. So yeah, let's all help one another out. So yeah, post pictures. I'd love to see what you make. That's what I'm here for. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.